so many clients have said to me over and over again, I make all these self-tapes and then I don't hear anything back, and they go into the ether, and like, and yeah, I think that a lot of that is happening, but I think a lot of the tapes go into the ether because the casting director is looking at them and they're like, I can't show this to my producers. And then they delete it and then they're on to the next.
If you got something, let it rip.
I'm never going to do this again.
Everybody grapples with this idea that you're really a fraud.
Like, I'm alive.
And that's when it clicked with me. And I thought, these are not superheroes. These are just men that can do super things.
Welcome back to Monday Morsels, the mini version of 10,000 No's. I'm Matthew Del Negro, and the following clip is raw and unscripted. It's a real-world, problem-solving conversation with one of the members of our 10,000 No's Insiders Community. I ran some questions by Marion, and she was like, okay, those are all really great, but I also think we should talk about the art of the self-tape. She said,
Yes.
Some clients have nailed it, and then there are some clients that just can't figure it out, and they don't know how to do it correctly. It doesn't look good. And she said it's really important for actors to know how to do a self-tape in order to give them the edge in booking a job. And we've talked about it a lot in Insiders, but I would love to hear it from your point of view, just where you go with this and you know, where your thoughts are, so these guys can kind of realize the importance of that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the first thing is, I mean, I'm going to take the assumption that the acting on the self-tape is really good. So this has nothing to do really about the actual acting on the self-tape. The trick is it needs to be framed appropriately. So many of my clients will, like, the camera's too far out, so I can't see their face. I think unless it specifies the directions want you to do like a full body take, I think you're better off with kind of like how, you know, sort of like head to middle section of your body. And I think you have to be off book, or so enough doesn't look like you're doing. It's so distracting on the tape if I see the actor holding their sides or glancing down too many times. And I also think that the lighting, it doesn't have to be like professional, because the other thing is you don't want to go like so professional where it looks like you put all this time in and like that's distracting, but you don't want to go so rudimentary that it's fuzzy or the lighting isn't right and you're not lit right. I mean, you need a simple light on your face, and you need it to be framed such that you can see the work, and the backdrop has to be just like plain. That's the other thing. So many clients, I look at tapes, and like just the other day I looked at a tape and like there was a ladder in the frame, and it was such a simple like that can be moved. like it was a step ladder. And so like he could have moved that before, but like he didn't. And then I was looking at the ladder and I wasn't paying attention. And so I feel that, and I know that casting directors, they're looking at these tapes. They're not 9 times out of 10, they're not even watching the whole audition. It's the first like 30 seconds. And if it doesn't look good, it's not going to go anywhere. And so many clients have said to me over and over again, I make all these self-tapes and then I don't hear anything back, and they go into the ether, and like, and yeah, I think that a lot of that is happening, but I think a lot of the tapes go into the ether because the casting director is looking at them and they're like, I can't show this to my producers. And then they delete it and then they're on to the next.
Can I weigh in from the actor's perspective also? I think all of that I agree with. I would actually say, you know, when I used to go into the room pre, you know, COVID and all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
the whole rule of thumb when I was coming up was have your sides in your hands, but you don't really need them. So I was always off book, but I had the sides in the hands. The philosophy being that they didn't think you were married to doing it that way. It was like, it looked like it was a work session, but you were really off book. Because if you're not off book, and granted, sometimes, you'd have crazy medical jargon and you got it the night before. And I get it. I get it if you can't be. But to me, it's like you want to show them that you've put the work in and that you're prepared. And my thought with the self-tape now is you don't have the advantage you used to have where you could go. Like for me, I kind of hate it on one hand because I used to like going in the room, being there with my presence, being able to talk to them, being able to get a vibe from them, being able to say, they give me notes and I can take it and go the other way. So that's the disadvantage now.
Yeah.
The advantage though is, and you have to take advantage of it, is what Marion is saying. You can't be, you got to be off book. Like I think do it like you're shooting it that day. And
Yeah.
you can do 50 takes. So you better give them a great take. And
Yeah.
my thought on the framing and I don't know, Marion, you could tell me because you see my tapes. I frame it like almost like I frame it and light it almost like I'm shooting it. I'm trying to give myself the best, I don't want to be, I know what you're saying when it's like overly done. Like if you were doing a period piece and you like went to an actual, you could overly do it and you're in like, period garb, maybe it's too much, but I like to suggest if it's a period piece, maybe I'm in a suit. If it's, the lighting, I mean, right now I've got a nice setup, a nice camera, a nice lens and all that. If you don't have that, do what you can just to give yourself the advantage. Because what you do have is time to prepare and you do have the ability to do tons of takes. So anyway, I'll shut up because we could talk about that in Insiders. I want to get your point of view.
No, I agree with that. And Matt, I agree with that. You do need to kind of, yes, it has to be good enough, but like, I've had clients edit the tapes where like, they're like editing it like a movie and it's too much.
Well, that's another version of the ladder in the background. It's pulling
Correct.
focus from the performance. So
Exactly.
make the performance the king. That's
100%.
Whatever
and then
that means to you,
Exactly. And what you're doing is with the framing and the lighting is you're highlighting that performance and like making it so that the buyer, the casting director, which then the producer, because what you're trying to do is the point of the tape is it's got to be so good that the casting director says, I've got to send this to my producers. You're just trying to get it to the producers, right? So, and then you want the producers to not be able to take their eyes off so that they do watch the whole audition. And then the second step is then you do the Zoom, which is another thing we should talk about, the Zoom callback with the producers on Zoom, because that's a whole other like beast.
All right, that is it. Now, obviously, you can just take what was said and apply it to your own life. But if you like what you heard so much that you want to find out how you can become a part of this community, just click the link for 10,000 Nos Insiders in the show notes or visit 10,000nos.com and check out more details there. If you feel like this helped you, please consider helping us by rating, reviewing, and subscribing to the podcast. Or if you're watching on YouTube, by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and dropping a comment below. We appreciate it, and have a great week.